Welcome to Wisdom of the World. Today I'm going to tell a story from England, and the story is about fate. It is called The Ring and the Fish, and it goes like this. Once upon a time there lived a baron in a castle. He was a great magician, and he could tell whatever was going to happen in the world at any time. And so he had a son, a little boy. And when that boy was 4 years old, he wondered what the fortune was going to be of his little son. So he checked the books and he found out that he was going to get married to a low-born maiden, as they called it in those days. This is an old story. And he didn't like that at all. He wanted his son to marry a royal or something. So he dug further and further to see whether that girl was already born and where she was living. And actually he found out. So he went to that house. And outside, the father was sitting and was crying, was very upset. And the baron said, "What's the matter?" And he said, "Well, you know, I just have a little daughter, but I already have 5 children and I have no idea how to feed her." And the baron says, "Well, maybe I can help you because I'm looking for a little girl to be a companion for my son." And the father thought for a while because he didn't really want to give his baby away, but he needed to do something, and the baron was willing to give him 10 crowns for the girl. So he said, okay, and he got the girl and gave it to the baron. He thought, well, at least she will have a good home. So the baron wrapped her in his cape and left. But as soon as he was by the river, he threw the baby into the river and he said, "There goes fate." At least he thought so. Because the stream was very swift and the cloth in which the baby was wrapped very strong, so the baby just stayed afloat on the water and she got stuck right across from where a fisherman was fishing. And that fisherman's family was without children and they really wanted to have a child. So he picked the little baby girl out of the water and brought her home to his wife, who was delighted. And so they raised her. 15 years later, the baron and his friends had been hunting and they stopped for a drink at that very fisherman's place. And out came the girl to serve water, and she was beautiful. And all her friends said to the baron, "Baron, you know about, you can predict the future. What fortune will this girl have?" And so he asked her, said, "When were you born?" And she answered him, and she said, "I don't know, because around 50 years ago, my father found me in the river." And the baron grew pale, because then he realized that that must have been the same girl that as a baby he threw in the water. But he didn't say anything then. He went home and he made a plan, and he came back to that house another day and said to the girl, "Listen, I will make you your fortune. My brother needs a girl just like you, and then you will be okay, you'll be fine forever." Now, the girl thought, and the fisherman parents were getting very old and they needed help. And so she thought she could provide it if she would accept this offer. So she did. And the baron gave her an envelope with a note in it and gave her directions to his brother's home. And as he left, he again said, "There goes fate." Because in that letter, it was written, a small note, "Dear brother, take the bearer of this letter and put her to death immediately. But things went differently again. Because that night, on the way to the brother, the girl had to spend a night in an inn. And thieves broke in that night. And they not only took everything of the innkeeper away, but they also emptied out all the pockets of all the guests staying in that inn. And so they found that letter and they opened it up and they saw the message in there. And even the thieves thought that was very, very cruel. So the chiefs of the thieves got out his pen and wrote a note which says, "Dear brother, take the bearer of this letter and marry her to my son without delay." Put the letter in the envelope and gave the envelope to the girl and sent her on his way to the brother. She arrived at the brother, and to her surprise, he was preparing, a wedding party. And she was introduced to the son, and they really liked each other. And so they were married. Now, when the Baron heard about this, he was beside himself. He was furious. And he realized that again, fate had been very strong. So he went to the brother's place and he sort of pretended everything was fine, and he took the girl for a walk. And when they were by some cliffs, he wanted to push her over. And she said, "Please, let me live. I didn't do anything wrong. It is just fate. If you let me live again, I will help you fight fate. I will not see your son. I will not see you until you want me to see you." And the Baron took off his golden ring and threw it into the sea. And he said, "Don't you ever come back until you have this ring to show." And so he let the girl go, and she wandered on, and she came at another palace where they needed somebody to work in the kitchen. So she did, and she accepted that job. And one day, as she was just cleaning a fish, she looked out of the window, and oh my goodness, lo and behold, there was the Baron and his son, her husband, coming and driving up to the castle. And then she was about to run away, and then she realized, oh wait, I'm just in the kitchen, they won't see me here. And then she continued cleaning the fish, and then she saw something shining there, and there was that ring, that same ring in that fish. And so she put it on her thumb. And she continued with the fish. She prepared it really, really nice, as good as she could, and she sent it off to the dining hall. And everybody loved the fish so much that afterwards they said, "Please invite the person who cooked so we can give that person a reward." So she was called to come up. And so she got ready and she walked up into the dining hall. And everybody was stunned because she was a very beautiful woman. And the son was delighted. He got up from the chair. And the father, the Baron, was beside himself again, so angry, he looked as if he could kill her. But she held her hand with that ring right out in front of her face, and she put it right on the table before him. And then the Baron, the father, realized that again, fate had been too strong for him. So he set her next to him and announced to the table, "This is my son's wife. Let's bring out a toast to her." And that evening, he took her and his son home, and they lived happily after again. Now, This is a story about fate. It is called fate when you believe that your future was created or determined by God. And we call it karma if you believe that you create your own future, not God. So, which here in Asia, where I'm at this moment, is the common belief, and I also think it is the one that makes the most sense. So, the girl in this story, was she just following fate or following her own karma? Up to you. Thank you.